Now, obviously, this package that I'm doing is about living the life that I've lived and experiencing the happiness and joy that I live with the basics of what nature already gave me. If you are a smoker, you need to stop smoking. This is going to be about smoking and alcohol. I find that people, when they smoke, it all starts from being when they were younger, because they're weak individuals. They give in, they've got no willpower. Someone says you want a fag, they haven't got the balls to say no. They don't want to feel pressure. They want to fit in. Through no fault of their own. We're pack animals, we want to fit in. This is not an attack on people smoking. Explain to you how and why people get into smoking. They're at school, they start to smoke. Before you know it, it's not about being addicted. It's about feeling part of a community. Whether it's a golf club, a tennis club, a ballet club, a jiu-jitsu club, whether it's fucking transgender society, it all comes down to feeling the same as somebody. And when you smoke, you feel the same as them. If people took fags away and had vapes, this is a real, obviously, situation, everyone would be vaping instead. If you change vapes to fucking smoking grass, like literally pieces of grass, everyone would be going, do you want some grass, mate? Yeah, what flavour you got? I've got field, I've got hay, I'll have some straw. It's not about the object, it's about feeling connected to people. Just so happens that it's cigarettes. It very well could be anything, like fucking dark chocolate. Who's got any dark chocolate? Got some white chocolate? No, I don't want that. No one's eating dark chocolate on a night out. If you, and then after, it comes down to, so people break away from their society at school. Why are they still smoking? People want a need to want. People have a need to want. So you need something, you get it, you feel fulfilled, your brain's happy. You want something, you get it, you fulfilled, your brain, and now it's happy. That could be anything. That's not just smoking, that's takeaways, that's TV, that's sex, that's going to the post office and dropping off a parcel. You have a need for something, I need to do something, and then you get it and you get that fulfillment. If somebody doesn't have much on in their life, then they're going to go to the thing that they think about and they get a reward and then they stop. That could be anything. If you're in the office all day and you hate your job and you're sat on that computer and all of a sudden you think of something that your body remembers. When I think, I want, I get, I feel fulfilled and I'm happy. It's not the cigarette, it's simply just the want. If you thought about having a wank at work, you'd have a wank and feel great. If you think about having a chocolate bar or a milkshake, you go and have a milkshake and you feel great. Just so happens that smoking is the most common thing that people do, but that's what everyone thinks to do. Yes, it doesn't help that there is nicotine, which you could say is addictive. However, I know that addiction is not the object. The addiction is understanding what an addiction is in terms of how the brain sees it. I have had many addictions in my life: porn, crisps, whatever it was, obsessiveness of stuff. And I found that if you tell yourself, no, I'm not smoking, when you think about having a cigarette, your brain's going to think about it more. So what happens is that you have to think about that thought of the cigarette, give yourself that reward, and then the next thought needs to be, I want to quit smoking. So now what will happen is your brain will think about a cigarette as normal, you'll smoke, and instead of just thinking, oh, I feel great, another thought will come in and it will say, I thought you wanted to quit, mate. And then all of a sudden, you'll feel guilty, you'll feel weak, you'll feel pathetic, you'll feel like, I'm useless. These are all derogatory terms that nobody wants to hear. You never want to hear your boss or partner say you're useless, you're weak, you're pathetic, or you never listen, or like you can't do anything right. These are horrible terms. So then eventually you go about your day, think about a cigarette, and then you'll do it, and then eventually it'll be like, you're so pathetic, you wanted to quit, and you're smoking, what's wrong with you? Eventually, you won't want to hear that voice in your head. So therefore, a week later, you'll be at your office, and you'll think about, need a cigarette. Instead of going out and getting that feeling of fulfillment, need for want, wanting that need, feeling fulfilled, you'll be like, in a minute, sick of you telling me I'm a weak will-minded prick, feeling guilty that, you keep saying that you're pathetic. I don't want to feel pathetic, so I feel guilty that I should have been performing better to your expectations. And then before you know it, half an hour's passed and you didn't have a fag. You would have had a fag in that half an hour, you might have had two, but you didn't. So if you're addicted, you would have to have that fag. I have to have that fag. I am going to have that fag. So this is just proof that smoking or porn, sex, whatever it is, addiction is not the thing. It's understanding what happens to your brain when you give yourself that thing and what happens to your brain when you don't. More importantly, it's sort of the psychology of understanding how can you get somebody to do something that you want them to do. If you want your employee to do something, you don't say do it and then attack them if they don't do it right. You say, can you do it? And then you make them feel guilty. Oh, Tom, I asked you to do it, man. I relied on you. I could have asked somebody else. Instead, I asked you because, you wanted to become manager one day, and I thought I'd, give you some responsibility, make you feel good. You make them feel guilty. They're going to be like, oh, man, I'm sorry I fucked up. I'm so sorry I fucked up. Disappointment and guilt is the biggest emotion on the planet. If you attack somebody and say, Tom, you fucking idiot, I told you to do it. Why have you not done it? Should have got Siobhan to do it. I knew you could have relied on Siobhan. He's going to be like, yeah, fuck you. Fuck you and have a fag, fucking cunt. Fucking cunt. That's what happens. So when you speak to yourself in the same way you speak to an employee, it's no different to your boss speaking to you, but you're speaking to yourself. It's the same thing. If you want to live a fulfilled life, you have to stop smoking. You're wasting your money. You're breathing shit. You smell shit. Your teeth, ruining your teeth. Obviously, lungs can repair themselves over time due to smoke and tar and stuff like that. But your body's now running off nicotine as opposed to running off like natural resources. Obviously, running off a natural resource like using solar as energy as opposed to oil and petrol is going to be the most preferred alternative. But like, your body's not supposed to have nicotine in it. It's a man-made thing. It's not supposed to be in your body. More importantly, forget the price, and we all know it's bad for you. It's really about, if you want to have a quality of life, stopping smoking. If you're punishing yourself. It's called self-destruction. If you smoke, you're basically saying, I do not value myself enough to live on this earth. I don't care if I die. We all know you could get cancer, but you don't care enough because you don't like yourself. You don't like yourself, you don't like who you are, so you don't care if you die. So therefore you don't care. And when I want something, I'm gonna get it. If I want a pair of shoes, I'm gonna get it. If I want a handbag, I'm gonna get it. If I want a fag, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna reward myself. I hate my boss, he's a cunt, I'm at work and I'm pissed off. I want something, I feel good when I have it, I'm happy. You're giving yourself something, but it's like, what have you given yourself? If you're going to give your grandma a gift, you're not going to give her a pile of shit in a bag, are you? You're going to give her some flowers. You're choosing what to give yourself. But because you hate yourself unconsciously, you're self-destructing by having that fag, knowing that it's not good for you, but convincing yourself that, oh, I deserved it. I felt good after it. I wanted it and I gave myself it. I feel good. It's self-destruction. So this is the psychology of smoking is what I'm talking about here. It's not the smoking. It's the psychology of why somebody would smoke. Do they not have anything else in life to look forward to give themselves as a reward system? You can have a wank. You can eat cookies. You can bungee jump. You can, I don't know, do breath work. You can go help a grandma. They all feel good. They're feel good feelings. There's billions of things you can do to make you feel good. In those times of doing those billions of things, you have time to smoke. You'd be so occupied in for 50 years of your life doing all that shit, you simply won't have time to smoke. You'd be like 50 years old, like, oh, I haven't had a fag in 50 years. Oh, got to help grandma. You know what I mean? So the psychology of smoking is what this is about. If you don't love yourself, you're not going to care what happens to you. You don't care how you're treated. If you do love yourself, you're going to want to be treated well, just like you want your grandma to be treated well. So you can't smoke if you want to be enlightened. You can't. It's like if you want to live and thrive off life, or you want to die and kill yourself and not want to be it. Contradicts it. But in terms of the addiction, when you think about smoking, you have to give yourself it, knowing that you want to stop. And eventually, every time you smoke, you'll have that combined feeling of guilt that you want to quit, but yet you're giving yourself the fag. What people do instead is they just simply try not to smoke. And they're holding off the urge, they're fighting the urge to smoke. All they can think about is that fag, and eventually they give in. That's not how the brain works. You understand the brain, you have to give it what its thoughts, because whatever you think becomes your reality anyway. And then if the next thought is, I don't want to smoke, you've now got a queue of thoughts. You know when you have an email system, like you subscribe to someone's marketing and mailing, and you unsubscribe and they say, Or it might take 21 days before you start receiving emails. That's because the system is programmed to send an email every week, for example. That when you unsubscribe here, it's already planned to send you an email this week, and this week. Once that week is over, and that week is over, and that week is over, you're in a new month, and there's no emails planned for that month. And then you won't get any more emails. Translated to a cigarette. If you keep giving yourself that fag, every time you do it, you've now got guilt. So rather than smoking, feeling good, that's the end of it. You smoke, you feel good, you feel guilty. You smoke, you feel good, you feel guilty. You smoke, you feel good, you feel guilty. Now you've got feel guilty, feel guilty, feel guilty 3 times. These emotions build up. Every time you do it, feel guilty, feel guilty, feel guilty, feel guilty, feel guilty. How many times has a naughty dog got to take a sausage off the counter before it feels guilty? And the answer is, for as long as it feels guilty, because it's not supposed to be taking the sausage. No, hang on a sec, that's wrong. How many times has a naughty dog got to take the sausage off the counter? I'm talking crap here, but the point is that guilt is a powerful emotion, and if you can activate that guilt along with the feeling of the fulfillment of having a cigarette, you simply won't want to have a cigarette. That's what I'm getting at. If the dog starts taking the sausage enough times and the owner looks at the dog and goes, Jasper, naughty, that wasn't for you. He's going to hang his head down in shame. His ears are going to drop like that, okay? He's going to do this. Jasper, was that you? He's going to feel guilty, and eventually he's not going to want to do it because that emotion's so powerful that he wants to be rewarded by his owners. He wants his owners to love him, to pat him and say, good boy, not naughty Jasper, that sausage wasn't yours, that was Uncle Tom's. Now he's going to have to get a kebab. Yeah? You're acting on a raw emotion. Eventually, you'll be like, fuck this, I'm not thinking about having a fag. No way. Every time I think about having a fag, I hear my fucking nan in my head say, you're weak-minded, you're pathetic. You said you were going to quit, but you can't because you're weak, you're pathetic. You'll never quit, just like your father. He's a weak-minded prick as well. And eventually, you won't want to smoke because then when you have to your fucking nan in your head, calling you a weak-minded prick. So you simply won't smoke. Eventually, you'll go a whole day without smoking. And as you keep doing that, time will pass where your body will eventually just start to forget what nicotine was. And basically, it's not the nicotine that's addictive. It's thoughts, creating more thoughts, getting a reaction, and your brain thinking about that thing that got a reaction. It's like if you drop seeds in the earth, it's going to create. And then as they create the fruit, for example, and drop seeds, that's going to create more. Everything creates more of what it is. So if you give yourself that fag when you smoke after, not wanting to smoke, you're going to create more thoughts of I'm going to smoke. But if you keep thinking of a fag, having a fag, feeling guilty, you're going to create an abundance of guilt, emotion, and thoughts that eventually that will just become your dominant thought along with the fag, but that's a more powerful feeling. Guilt is a more powerful feeling than reward of a cigarette. That, you feel good, but that's it. It's like being rich and just keep buying clothes. Eventually that feeling of a new top got another top. That's it. It's just boring. There's no emotion, no feeling, there's no excitement. You can't get any more excitement when you buy another top. That's why people keep buying more clothes than the rich. But the feeling of guilt can only get worse and build up. But to the point where it becomes too much, that you just have to stop and you won't smoke. And eventually days will pass where you won't smoke. So the bottom line is, stop smoking, love yourself, understand the psychology of why you smoke, because you don't love yourself and therefore you don't care about yourself. And you want to feel good, so you want to treat yourself because you're worthy of love and happiness. And you want to give yourself a cigarette because you feel like, I've given myself something that I wanted. You could have wanted a fucking bumblebee in a diaper and somebody could have given you that and you feel fulfilled. The reality is, what the fuck are you going to do with that diaper with a bumblebee in it?